What's up YouTube? In this video we'll be ranking Lissandra's items in this tier list. I'm gonna go one by one and explain why the item is good or why the item is bad. Let's just get straight into it. So first things first, Malignance. Malignance is the best mana item on Lissandra because of the passive that it gives you. Having your ultimate up sooner in solo queue is just a very good thing for the champion to have. The other thing is with her passive, when you ulti someone and they burn for the whole duration of the cast, so you get the maximum amount of damage from the item's passive. It's just really good, and it's an S tier item. Next is Protobelt, and Protobelt is actually interesting. It's popped up recently because a lot of pro players have been building it on virtually every champ, and even champions that don't even need the item. In terms of Lissandra actually has more reason than other champions to build this item because of her ultimate and gap close into someone and you just ulti them. It's very useful to have. The item is cheap, it gives you relatively good stats, but you do end up sacrificing damage for the sake of the utility, which on Lissandra sometimes is not actually a bad thing. It's not quite S tier, I'm gonna put it in A tier for now, and we're gonna review afterwards. Dusk and Dawn, you'll never build this item. Now Blackfire Torch used to be better when Liandry's was actually pre-nerf. It's not as good anymore, and for that reason I'm gonna put it into B tier. Archangel staff will go into don't. It's pretty obvious, but Lissandra doesn't get to utilize the extra mana that she gets from this or the shield. Now Zhonyas is actually very interesting. It's very useful to have versus assassins, and when you want to engage and buy a lot of time in team fights, it's very useful. The other thing is that ever since it got nerfed, building this item actually doesn't feel as good as it used to be because it lost a lot of damage. From what I remember, it lost 15 AP, but still this item is really good on this champion. She just gets to utilize it so much better than other champions. For that reason, I'm going to put it into A tier. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our small channel to support us. Thank you guys, and now back to the video. Mejai's and Dark Seal, I'm going to put those two together. It's a really good item on mages. There's no other way to put it. It's high risk where if you end up going down, you lose the stacks, but the scaling aspect is just insane. Lissandra can get stacks easily by setting up a kill with her ultimate. So for that reason, this item goes into S tier, but this doesn't mean that Lissandra will always build this item. Deathcap is another good item on Lissandra. I usually build it third if I don't need Zhonyas or something like Void Stuff. So this item is really good. I wouldn't quite put it into S tier, but it is an A tier item. At the same time, I would put it above Protobelt and Zhonyas. Rylais is an item that's not good on this champion. The reason is that you don't utilize the slow, the stats are whatever, it's bad. Lich Bane is an item that gives you good AP, it gives you movement speed, which Lissandra really needs, and it also gives you 10 haste, but it's not as good as the other items. So for that reason, it's just going to go into C tier. You would never build this item. Yeah, I'm going to put it in don't. Nasha is also in don't tier. Banshees is an item that works quite well in this champion. Sometimes she really needs the spell shield. The reason for that is there's a lot of champions that outrange her. A lot of mages have more range than Lissandra. And also against assassins, it can be quite useful to have before someone engages on you. I'm going to put it into A tier as well. Void Staff is an item that works really well as well. Void Staff just helps you do the most damage that you can. That being said, the build path is not the best. The 1100 gold component, I can't remember the name of it, is not great. The blasting wand is whatever. When you do build this item, it feels good, but the actual components are not great. For that reason, it's going to go into A tier. Now, Cryptbloom is an item that you can actually proc a lot of the time. The reason for that is, you know, Lissandra engages, she ults someone, everyone jumps on that person, and then you proc their passive every time. With all that being said, it's not as good as Void Staff. When you're trying to lock someone down or you're trying to play a more damage-oriented build, the haste and the less AP than Void Staff, yeah, it's whatever. If you play a more haste oriented build, then you can say that this item is A tier because it does work well with Lissandra's kit. So I'm gonna put it into A tier, but consider this like a low A tier kind of item. For Morellonomicon, this item is horrible. you never ever want to finish this item. Yes, you can go the heal cut component, but never ever finish this item. So for Bloodletters Curse, I don't know why you would build this item on Lissandra. Cannot think of a single situation where you would want to build this item over something like Void Stuff. I guess if you're playing a tankier build, Rod of Ages or something like that, maybe you can build this item. The item itself is not bad, but I just don't feel like Lissandra would build this item. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in maybe high C tier for Lissandra. Okay, so Horizon, again, another item that Lissandra just doesn't get to utilize. Yeah, I don't think this item would be good on Lissandra. I would also put it in C tier. Cosmic Drive is something that is similar to Bloodletters Curse, where I don't see why Lissandra would build this item, and I just don't see it being useful on her at all. That being said, I think it's a little bit better than these three, so I'm gonna put it in very low B tier. Now, Riftmaker is more interesting. Maybe for something like a Lissandra top build, maybe you can build this item in more sustained fights. Again, I just don't see it ever coming out on this champion's like build path. I would also put this in B tier, but think of it as very close. C and B for these items are very close. Shadowflame is actually pretty interesting. The item itself is decent. I think there's a better option. The best way to explain this item, because this item is currently very popular on Lissandra, people go Malignance into Shadowflame. The thing with this item is that with Lissandra, when you go in and you ult someone, if that target is full HP, then you're never proccing the 40% missing health crit damage passive that this item has. With all that in mind, the item gives a lot of ability power and it gives the magic pen, which inherently makes it decent on this champion when you want to go damage. So I would put it in A tier. Now moving into Stormsurge. Stormsurge, I'm telling you guys, this is one of the best items on this champion. Let me explain why real quick. This item gives you a lot of AP. It gives you the movement speed, which Lissandra really needs. It gives you the magic pen. And then it gives you a passive where if you lock someone down, it deals an extra, like it does an electrocute type of thing and deals extra damage. No one knows about this item. I haven't seen anyone build this on Lissandra. Everyone is just obsessed with Shadowflame. And in a lot of cases, actually about 90% of the time, this item will do the same or even more damage than Shadowflame on a full combo. So for that reason, this item goes in S tier. And you can actually go this item first if you have Mana Flow banned. Trust me, try this and you'll remember me. Into Liandry's. The item itself has been nerfed and it actually used to be a lot better, but since the nerf, it's not as good anymore. Now, if there's multiple people stacking HP, this item can be an S tier item in that specific scenario. With that in mind, keep an asterisk on this item, but because it's only in specific scenarios, I'm gonna put it in low A tier. Now, Ludens is one of those items where the item itself is not that bad, but the thing is Lissandra has so many more other options that are better. For example, Malignance, Stormsurge, and Protobelt are better options than Ludens. This item will go in B tier. Now into Rod of Ages. Rod of Ages is also interesting. I personally don't like it on Lissandra at all. The reason for that is when you go with tankier Lissandra build, you're pretty much losing to everything. At that point, when you do go Aurora build, you're more of an R button for your teammates and survivability. And look, sometimes that can actually work and it can actually win you games. But I'm not a big fan for this item in solo queue or like a tankier build that includes this item for Lissandra. For that reason, I'm going to put it in B. Now, Gunblade, let's quickly put that in don't. Magic Pen Boots are going in S tier because in Lissandra's damage-oriented build and this item giving actual magic penetration it's very good. Mainly because when people in solo queue see Lissandra, they immediately go Merc Treads, and this item helps break through the Merc Treads, the magic resist that it gives. Okay, now for the armor boots, they'll also go in S tier. The reason for that is that when you play against assassins that can easily kill you, this just adds so much more survivability. It gives you the shield, the armor that it gives. This item is incredibly busted in mid lane. Because mid laners are the only champions that get the upgrade for this item. People are not onto it yet. I don't know if they will ever be, to be honest, but this item is completely disgusting. And a lot of the time, it can just buy you so much survivability as a mid laner. And Lissandra is one of those champions that can utilize this item well. Okay, moving on to Merc Treads. Merc Treads are decent on Lissandra. I wouldn't put it in S tier, but I would put it in A tier. Again, it's nice to have when you're being poked down a lot. You can go this item to just help you transition into the mid game a little bit better. There's not much to add, but what I will say is that Merc Treads are not a better item than the armor boots at all. The armor boots are on another level, but Merc Treads are still decent, so I'll put them into A tier. Okay, so for the haste boots, here's what happens. I've found that if you go Stormsurge, it solves the movement speed issues that Lissandra has. So the value of haste boots actually goes down a little bit because of that. The boots, for what they are, they're okay on Lissandra. The summoner spell haste is nice, but I would say that these three are the better options for this champion in most cases. For everything I just said, I probably would put it into low A tier. For the movement speed boots, I would put them in high B tier. They're not as good as the other boots. The reason for that is, like I said, buying Stormsurge, which I believe is the best build right now for Lissandra, is Malignance into Stormsurge or Stormsurge into Malignance. It solves your movement speed issues. So for that reason, these boots will go into B tier. And the new Omnivamp boots is not something that I've tested yet. Just from reading the item has just been nerfed actually, so it's not as good as it was last patch. The boots look okay. I believe that on Lissandra, the other boots are still better. I would probably put them into B tier as well. And that's it for Lissandra item tier list. I believe we covered everything pretty well. Let's see if I want to change anything. I will put these two down here. The reason for that is just that when you look at Blackfire Torch, Ludens, and Roa, they're just so much better options than these items on Lissandra. That's the reason we're moving those down. That's it. That's everything. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Lissandra's items, please consider subscribing to the channel. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.